you knew Stuart and Jeff since you were young. I
Mhm.
thought you went to the same high school. I thought you guys started to know each other in high school, but it sounds like you knew Jeff since you were 11 or earlier.
Yeah,
Um, so you went to the same high school. Your high school had a delicious name. Can you share the name of your high school?
we were from a township called Sandwich West. So this was Sandwich Secondary, and it's not home of the hoagie. It's not home of the sub. But yeah, we went to Sandwich Secondary, and there's such it was great. So Jeff and I, of course, were in and out of bands, um, always in the same band until at least grade nine. But then we started experimenting, and you make new friends, and we're in and out of different bands. And we met this cool kid named Stuart Chatwood, who still had a bit of a English accent, like a touch. And he was super cool, but he didn't play anything. And he was left-handed, and Jeff is left-handed but plays guitar right-handed. So he showed Stuart literally how to play, and then he'd switch to bass and then back to guitar. So yeah, then bands in and out with each other, all the way through high school, playing high school dances and so on and so forth at different places. And yeah, it just sort of kind of grew from there.
And at what point did the three of you guys who had already known each other, had played together in various forms, what point did the idea of starting like a legit serious band together, the Tea Party, where did that start?
Sure. So Jeff and Stuart had a band that came from the high school. So once they were done at high school, I think they went to university for a few months and then decided, forget it, we're moving to Toronto. We want to try to make it big. And I was rah, 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 good for you guys. Like, go for it. So they moved to Toronto, and kind of in between there, before them moving, or I think near the end of high school and then while in university, or maybe while in university, Jeff Martin and I did a blues duo. So what we did is he'd play and sing, and I had a set of Taurus pedals where my hi-hats were, and I would play the bass parts with my left foot and play the drums, which is a little easier than you think, but it was so much fun, and it's challenging. But once you got it, you got it. So we used to make incredible money as two, broke out of school, out of work kind of guys, and it worked out really well. So while that was going on, he moved to Toronto and would occasionally come back to Windsor, and we do these gigs. But he's trying to make it in the band, the Stickmen, which were amazing band. Um, One time, both of the guys were down, and we were drinking in our favorite watering hole called the Coach and Horses, which is right downtown. It's gone now. They saved the building, mind you. And we were just having pints as we do, and chatting with, I think it was one of the managers who used to have Jeff and I in to play as our duo. And she said, "Hey, I've got something coming up in 3 weeks. Would you guys be able to put the duo together?" We said, "Oh, okay, well, we'll think about it and whatever." So we go to the table, and Chats is there. And I looked at Jeff and I said, "Well, why don't we just do like a trio? So I don't have to do the bass pedal thing." And Stuart's like, "I'm in." Sounded like fun. So at this point, their band was getting a little bit rocky. And we decided to go up to Cherry Beach Studios in Toronto on the water. Is that still there? Cherry Beach Studios? No.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Anyway, we went there. We had a marathon jam session. Everybody says somewhere between 8 and 24 hours, but it was probably about 10 hours or so. And we just laid out 2:45s or 3:45-minute sets of, standards that we all knew, and it wasn't that hard to get together. And we brought that show back home to Windsor for a Friday and a Saturday night. And the Friday night had, the average crowd of maybe 80 people. It's a smaller pub. And then the next night, word of mouth got around, and there was about 120 people jammed in there, and then up the stairwell, and then out the door and around the block, because word had gotten out that we sounded good, I guess. So that was the beginning of when we started talking. Should we do something. And it kind of fell onto their shoulders. I mean, they had a really good band who was, getting a modicum amount of attention and success in Toronto area and so on. But, they just didn't feel it just wasn't a good fit at this point. So we said, okay. And then was I going to move to Toronto, or were they going to come back down here? And so they ended up moving back down to Windsor so that we can save some money and really work on our craft, because this way, that Coach and Horses venue had 3 floors and the very top floor was empty. They allowed us to create our own studio rehearsal place, because they knew when we would be booked downstairs, which was literally every other weekend at this point, they knew that they were going to make a lot of money because the crowds were insane. And so we built this studio out of the old fish market from London, because the Coach and Horses and the old fish market were all in the same building. They had these freezer walls, and we built a studio out of freezer walls. We brought up couches and chairs. We had a rec room. We had an old pool table. We had everything. It was amazing. And we did that for probably 2 years. The hardest part about that was trying to get up the stairs, because these stairs were brutal. And, you're coming from a show at Call the Office or something, and it's 4 a.m. and you're just like, oh God, get these things up these stairs. Jesus Christ, it's so heavy.
All the amps.
Oh man. And Stuart, God bless him, made this great drum case for the entire kit, that once you emptied all the drums, you put the case back together and it acted as a drum riser. Brilliant in concept, but the weight of this thing had to be 300-400 pounds. And it was just, it was tough. But we had some pretty strong girlfriends back then.
Was that, yeah, you chose your girlfriends based on upper body strength. Was that the most important gig in the Tea Party's career? Because if the person from that venue does not ask you guys to play, maybe the trio doesn't form.
Exactly. And her name was Cynthia, and she was great. She's friends with Kelly Hoppy, Mr. Chill. And it was essentially a blues bar, but they let us come in, and because we had always been going there, like since we were 17, just lying about our age and watching these amazing blues artists from Detroit come in and just wow us with their prowess and their fingers that are this long, and just, blowing everybody away. So yeah, it really comes down to that moment when she had asked us to play. I guess. Thank you for bringing that up. I'd never thought about it that way.
So I have some kind words sent in from somebody that was there all the way from the beginning. This is from Stuart Chatwood, the bass player for the Tea Party. So he says, Jeff has had a passion for music from a young age, and I was amazed at his drumming chops as a young teenager. As we've spent the last 35 plus years together, it's been a pleasure to watch him evolve into a model citizen that cares deeply about his community and the well-being of others. So that's from Stuart.
Oh, Chatwood. I love Chats. He's amazing. He's the most well-rounded, gifted person I know. He's such a good guy.